کنفرانس در پارلمان نروژ، انقلاب دمکراتیک ایران، قیامی برای آزادی و دموکراسی.
سخنرانی خانم مریم رجوی، نایب رئیس پارلمان و شماری از نمایندگان، نخست وزیر سابق ایسلند، وزیر سابق محیط زیست ایسلند، وزیر پیشین حمل و نقل و ارتباطات فنلاند و تعدادی از شخصیتهای سیاسی اروپایی.
خانم مریم رجوی: انقلاب دمکراتیک مردم ایران به استبداد دینی خاتمه خواهد داد. هدف شورای ملی مقاومت استقرار یک جمهوری دموکراتیک مبتنی بر انتخابات آزاد، جدایی دین و دولت، برابری زن و مرد، نفی هر گونه تبعیضات علیه پیروان مذاهب دیگر و به رسمیت شناختن خودمختاری برای ملیت‌های تحت ستم در چارچوب تمامیت ارضی ایران است.
استراتژی رژیم برای مقابله با قیام دو وجه دارد. یک وجه سرکوب بیرحمان است. وجه دیگر تلاش‌های گسترده سیاسی و تبلیغاتی برای دلسرد کردن مردم از قیام است. رژیم تاکتیک دیگری دارد که استفاده از عناصر وابسته به دیکتاتوری شاه است. وزارت اطلاعات یا سپاه پاسداران این عناصر را برای منحرف کردن قیام به خدمت می‌گیرند. اگرچه مردم ایران در 5 ماه گذشته با شعار مرگ بر ستمگر، چه شاه باشه چه رهبر، در داخل و خارج کشور این توطئه را با شکست مواجه کردند.
زمان آن است که کشورهای اروپایی صدای مردم ایران را بشنوند، سپاه پاسداران را در لیست تروریستی قرار دهند، سفارت‌های رژیم را در کشورهایشان ببندند، مقاومت ایران و حق آنها را برای دفاع از خود به رسمیت بشناسند.
مرتن ولد، نایب رئیس پارلمان نروژ: من سالها از مبارزه شما علیه رژیم حمایت کردم و این کار را ادامه خواهیم داد.
گیر هیملرهارده، نخست وزیر سابق ایسلند: آنچه در ایران جریان دارد فقط یک تظاهرات نیست، آغاز پایان دیکتاتوری مذهبی است. حمایت از مبارزه ایرانی‌ها برای آزادی و دموکراسی برای ما بسیار مهم است.
کیموساسی، وزیر پیشین حمل و نقل و ارتباطات فنلاند: شورای ملی مقاومت ایران قوی‌ترین نیروی مخالف با ساختارهای دموکراتیک و حمایت گسترده هم در خارج از کشور و هم در داخل ایران است. چیز عالی این است که رئیس جمهور منتخب شورای ملی مقاومت خانم رجوی است. زنی که میتواند تفاوت تغییر در ایران را نشان دهد که هم مردان و هم زنان در آن حضور داشته باشند.
ادوارد سولنز، وزیر سابق محیط زیست ایسلند: اتحادیه اروپا باید بلافاصله سپاه پاسداران را در لیست سیاه تروریستی قرار دهد. این گام باید فوراً برداشته شود. این اقدام همین الان دیر است.
به دعوت کمیته پارلمانی دوستان ایران آزاد، کنفرانسی در محل پارلمان نروژ با حضور و سخنرانی نایب رئیس پارلمان و شماری از نمایندگان برگزار شد. خانم مریم رجوی، رئیس جمهور برگزیده مقاومت ایران، به صورت آنلاین در این جلسه شرکت و سخنرانی کرد. در این کنفرانس از جمله گیر هیملرهارده، نخست وزیر سابق ایسلند، کیموساسی، وزیر پیشین حمل و نقل و ارتباطات فنلاند و سولنز، وزیر سابق محیط زیست ایسلند سخنرانی کردند. در این کنفرانس استران استیونسون آخرین کتاب خود را درباره یک قرن مبارزه مردم ایران با 2 دیکتاتوری معرفی کرد.
It's special days, it's historic days Iran is going through. Probably more than 30,000 people have been arrested. And out of the more than 750 people killed, 647 have been identified so far by the NCRI. But in spite of this very brutal operation from the authorities, people are still protesting. Even yesterday, there was a big demonstration in Tehran from the Farmers Association marching into the city and protesting for the farmers' rights. And people are shouting from the rooftops very courageously, in danger of losing their own lives. So this is, I think, correct. It may be a start of revolution and regime change. It has been mainly the women who are organizing this, and the protests have taken part in almost 300 cities in Iran, and going on now for close to 150 days with riots and protests against the regime. It's extraordinary. We are witnessing history in Iran, and let's hope for a good ending. And we will learn more about this during this meeting. President of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, Mrs. Madam Rajvi. She has been fighting for freedom for Iran for more than 40 years, soon close to 50 years. And she has first been fighting against the brutal regime of the Shah. And after Khomeini came back in 1978 to Iran, she has been fighting from different countries against the regime. And it's a great honor to welcome Mrs. Rajvi to the Norwegian Parliament for the fourth time she is here. And you have many friends in the Parliament, Mrs. Rajvi, and you are most warmly welcome. You have the floor.
Our movement has been fighting against the religious tyranny ruling our country for 44 years. 120,000 people have laid down their lives on this path for Iran's freedom, and hundreds of thousands of other men and women have suffered brutal torture in prison to this end. All the hardships, pain, and suffering could not undermine the determination of Iran's freedom fighters to end the dictatorship and establish a free republic in Iran. Of course, the struggle of this movement for freedom has a more extended history dating back to Shah's dictatorship. At that time, all the democratic forces, including the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, were suppressed by Shah's notorious secret police, Shabak. Their leaders were imprisoned and executed. So Khomeini took advantage of this situation and hijacked the leadership of the People's Revolution against the Shah's dictatorship and established a religious dictatorship in Iran. Today, 44 years later, a new revolution is in the making. The Iranian People's Democratic Revolution will end religious tyranny. The regime's strategy to deal with the uprising has two aspects. One aspect is brutal repression. The other aspect is extensive disinformation and propaganda efforts to discourage the people from rising up. The regime wants to distract the uprising from its main goals. The regime also has another tactic, which is using the elements affiliated with the Shah's dictatorship. The Ministry of Intelligence and the IRGC also deploy such elements to divert the uprising. However, In the last 5 months, the Iranian people in Iran and abroad defeated this plot with their slogans of death to the oppressor, be it the Shah or Khamenei. Despite the regime's efforts, the future is bright. A decisive factor is women's active presence in the uprising. The NCRI's goal is to establish a democratic and free republic based on free elections, separation of religion and state, gender equality, rejection of all discriminations against religious minorities, and recognition of autonomy for oppressed ethnic groups within Iran's borders. In November 2006, I told the Norwegian parliament, and I repeat, I have a dream for an Iran free of execution and torture, for a country where all citizens could express their beliefs and have the right to vote freely to determine their own destiny, for a country where everyone shall be free to choose their clothing and way of life, for a country where women enjoy equal rights, including in political leadership, for a country where all citizens with various beliefs and religions could live side by side in peace, for a country where no citizen would be prosecuted for their beliefs or thoughts, and for a country that would be committed to coexistence with its neighbors. What I said that day was not a personal wish, but the desire of the Iranian people. Today, the world hears these demands in the slogans of the Iranian people. It is time for European countries to hear the Iranian people's voice and put the IRGC on the terrorist list and shut down the regime's embassies in their countries and recognize the resistance of the Iranian people and their right to self-defense.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here. As you just said, I've supported your fight against this regime for years, and of course we will continue to do that. We are following the situation closely, and we see that it's you have a large challenge in this battle, and we understand, of course, that you need the full and wholehearted support from Norway, which you, of course, have. Thank you.
That we need to take seriously the uprising that is going on at the present time. It is no regular circumstance when a government imprisons 30,000 people of its citizens and kills about 750 so far. And we need to make sure, like Ulla said, that this is not just a demonstration, beginning of something big, beginning of the end of the religious dictatorship, which has been in power now for 44 years. And I think it's so important for us to support the fight of the Iranians for freedom and democracy, because what they are asking for are the same inalienable rights that we all take for granted in Western societies, rights that go back to the US Constitution in the 18th century. And we need to understand that the Iranian people have the same right to enjoy these principles that are enshrined in every modern constitution in the Western world. We are in the Norwegian parliament right now. What can this institution do, and the Norwegian government, to help pressure the clerical regime in Iran to meet the demands of the protesters, of the young people in Iran? We must think of everything that can be done.
Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Rajvi, dear friends, I want to thank Ms. Rajvi on this briefing on the democratic revolution and current situation in Iran. And we start to see that the dictatorship in Iran is coming to its end. There have been demonstrations before concerning poverty, increasing poverty, and lack of food in Iran, but demonstration after Amini, so they are something very special. They have lasted very long, they are widespread. And now we are witnessing the brave Iranian women and the youth to make their sacrifices and change the society. And the slogans like "Down with the oppressor," be it the Shah or the leader, meaning Khamenei, and neither monarchy nor theocracy, yes to democracy and equality, describe what the youth people in Iran want to have in the future. And there's only one way forward for Iran, and that is democratic Iran. That is the best way of government in the world at the moment, and that is the way. And then, of course, one asks, so is there a real way? Is there a real alternative? And in fact, read everyone Ms. Rajvi's 10-point plan. It's an excellent plan. Democracy, human rights, segregation between religion and politics, and respecting minorities in Iran, and equality between women and men. And that is the clear path forward for Iran. And of course, what's very important at this moment is that the opposition will be united, is united, and works together. And NCRI, National Council for Resistance of Iran, is the strongest, strong opposition group with democratic structures, wide support abroad, but also inside Iran. And that should be a leading factor in the revolution. And the excellent thing is that the president-elect of NCRI is Mrs. Rajvi, a woman, really can show the difference of the change in Iran, taking aboard both men and women in the demonstration. But at this moment, we have to ask, can we do? And that is a big question. And I must say, we can't be totally satisfied what the European Union is doing and what the European countries are doing. And it's our duty to try to pressure the European Union and European countries. They have taken stand, but the stand must be stronger. And what is required are sanctions. If Americans do it, so Revolutionary Guards, of course, they should be sanctioned by the European Union and all European countries. And I think we know, this group, what the embassies of Iran do in Europe. And I think all European countries see that we shall not have spies, aggressors inside the European Union territory, and their activities must be limited somehow. Also declaration that people have the right to defend themselves in Iran when they are suppressed, so must be more clearly expressed. But the most important thing is there must be something like in Ukraine at the moment, crimes against humanity and genocide must be investigated. And when the moment comes, so those people who are responsible must be brought in the court of law and sanctioned and punished. And then, of course, as Gerhard said, Iran's involvement in Ukraine is something what we have to remember in Europe when we defend independence of Ukraine. And Iran's involvement is something that we can't accept, and that must be taken politically into account as well, as sanctions and all actions of the European Union are directed against Iran. That's important. We have a lot of things to do, but I think we will win, and we have to be very firm, and Europe must play an more important role than ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Rajvi, together with people in the first free democratic parts of the world, I was horrified to see directly on my TV screen the brutality and disregard of human rights shown by the mullahs as they ordered the Revolutionary Guard to attack the protesters in Iran and show no mercy. The bravery and courage shown by the protesters, mostly young people and young Iranian women in particular, has against the deadly force of the Revolutionary Guard has touched me to the bottom of my heart. The despicable behavior of the mullahs in Tehran, killing their own citizens at large, setting up mock trials with death sentences based on trumped-up charges, has clearly shown to the world that it is futile to try to negotiate with these monsters and even enter into any negotiations with them. As a first step, the EU should immediately blacklist the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist group. That step should be taken immediately. This action is long overdue.